If you are going to try and attempt this kind of work in -10, I do recommend getting the engine up to operating temp first. That way when you're working in and around the engine, it's nice and hot. So it is currently -10 degrees right now. I just quit my job last week for reasons which I'll not get into right now. Nonetheless, I don't have access to a nice heated shop anymore. So now I have to do everything in the driveway. I'm going to be taking the whole power steering and alternator bracket off, the alternator itself, the power steering pump, and redoing all 3 of the power steering lines. I won't be touching the cooler. I have a rebuild kit for the actual power steering pump itself, instead of just replacing the whole pump, which is from GM, about 200 bucks. Remanufactured, they're about $80–90. I was able to get a rebuild kit for 10 bucks. So that's going to save a lot of money, and it's not really necessary to change the pump. If the pump is still working, but it's just fluid is pissing out, just replace the seals and she'll be good to go. First of all, I got to take off the intake, then the serpentine belt, then I can get the alternator off, and then once the alternator is off, I can undo this whole bracket here, and the power steering pump will come off with it. That way I can get to the 2 lines, the pressure and the return at the back of the pump that sit just about back there. On LS and LYs, you need to have a special puller just to get that end off right there. I don't have the special tool to remove that, but I have some just regular pullers. So in every other video that I've watched on YouTube, everyone takes the intake off before even attempting to get the belt off. I think it's a little ridiculous because you can get to the tensioner pulley by sticking it under here. So there's no need to actually take the whole intake off and the MAF. I can ratchet just to get to that. Should have definitely bought a new one, even though it's in decent shape. Whenever I get a car, I like to buy fresh belts because you never know when they were replaced and when they're going to start to crack and then eat themselves off, and then you lose your alternator and then the car stalls. I like to just get them brand new when I get the car, so that for the length that I have the car, I don't have to worry about it snapping or starting to crack. Whoa.
Recess is over.
One thing too, always pay attention to the bolts because sometimes they're different sizes and different lengths for the same part. Just something to pay mind to. I also highly recommend, if you don't want to electrocute yourself, disconnect the battery before you disconnect the alternator. This is going straight to battery positive. If that touches ground, you are going to hurt yourself. All right, let's get that out of here. Definitely one of the easiest alternators I've ever changed. Thank you, Chevy. Now, to take off the bracket bolts. Something that I've never experienced before because I'm more accustomed working on Hondas, Japanese, BMWs, Range Rovers. A lot of these American cars have these things called duckbill seals. They look like this, essentially like a duckbill. You put that into the rack and pinion first, and then you put your line through it. I've never seen this thing before, and it was really difficult to get out. Instead of using a pick and scoring the walls of the power steering, I just put a bolt in there, got it to thread, and then yanked it out. Just a little something that I do in the driveway. Obviously, you should always catch the oil, but we're not perfect, and sometimes it splashes and gets all over the concrete, so to avoid that, I just put concrete. Wow. I always put some cardboard down just to stop it from splashing around and making a mess. What's up, y'all? So it's about 2-3 days later now since I last shot doing the power steering lines on this thing. So I came to a dead stop at the actual pump itself because the pulley needs a special tool to take the actual pulley off of the pump. So I ordered that, I received it, and I'm gonna take a crack at removing the pulley. Let's get to it. I would just like to add that it is also now even colder. It's like -12. So I have decided not to go through with rebuilding this because now that I have taken this part off, I can now see that right there, it's not just leaking from a seal, it's seeping through the metal itself. So that is not repairable. So I'm gonna have to replace this whole pump. Now while I wait for the new pump to come in, I'm gonna do the front lower ball joints on both sides. I'm gonna have my buddy Petro help me out with that. Then I'm gonna clean the back because it's super dirty, super filthy and grimy and really disgusting. Hopefully 2 days from now, everything will be fixed and I'll be able to pick up the boys and go skiing and bring you guys along with me.
Film everything on my car. Oh, I always have to have my phone in my hand.
So here we are, 2 new ball joints pressed in. I don't know if this is just a OEM ball joint thing on police vehicles or if this is because it's aftermarket, but it had this weird retaining nut on the top instead of having a C-clip like the ones that I bought have. So made it really hard to get off.
That's what she said.
I also got a new power steering pump and reservoir with a new pulley installed onto the brackets.
A few moments later.
It is so damn cold. But she's gotta get done. So as you can see, she is very dirty right now. All kinds of stains, dirt, scratches, scuffs. Absolutely crusted. So, rear is pretty much done. Yesterday, I already did the front, so she's looking nice, clean. There was crust everywhere. It was super nasty. For all the dirtier stuff, I'm gonna be using a dilution of Spray 9, which is a heavy-duty degreaser. I use this for pretty much anything that's greasy, gunky, dirty, stinky, hard to get off. It'll get anything. If you dilute it enough, you can use it on leather and some other softer materials. So this stuff is great.
Red Bandit. Matt.